I will say, very interesting fire succubus here. Not something that I don't think I've seen thus far, at least in terms of her.
Maybe I'll leave the mic unmuted, otherwise I can't respond. Yeah, I tend to get Mons. The thing is, I don't use her very much. She does have some use. I just don't use her too much. But she's entertaining when I do use her.
Because I was looking at her stats, I was like, something's. If it looks too good to be true, then it probably is. And in this case, it definitely definitely was.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I don't like fire succubus anyway, so it doesn't matter to me.
The thing is, I've taken her and I've let her solo like a wood golem by herself, or because she'll just go through and solo stuff because she'll heal off of it, and they don't do anything to debuff her because she's got such high resistance. It might take some time, but she'll do it.
I don't know, man. I'm just like pro fire wild thing if I had to use someone like that.
It's true. I do have. Pretty sure I got one of her in there. Oh yeah, she's right below her.
Probably more so since they made her like crit reliant. Is probably just what hurts her performance the most. Like, can we just take the crit reliance off?
They've got a number of mons that the crit reliance is still, you know, if you don't crit, you don't get the crit. It used to be they had fire cure for a while, was crit demanding to get the 10% SP.
Yep, I remember that.
And they took that off. And actually I actually had that fire cure at like 110% crit rate when that was the case.
Why did they do this to us?
Yeah. Well, sometimes you got to hurt the ones you love in that case, I guess.
All right, here's normally another trap. I gotta check this. Okay, there's a resist gem on her, a defense gem. I'm already disappointed. What is happening here? There's
Well,
another defense gem on her.
if it helps any, if you a lot of these people that are the super ascended like this, I only super ascend them during festivals that you get the bonus 600 Astro Gems, and then I never use them. There's a reason she's got crap gems on her. It's because I never use her for anything.
I would rather just zero gems because this like just draws my attention to her. Because I'm like, she has curse, but she literally has no attack to take advantage of the curse. But
No,
obviously, you don't even touch her.
she literally was there for the Astro Gems. I probably should move her back into storage, but the thing is, back in the day when we only had like 100 slots for gems, if you wanted to keep some gems, you had to park them on your Astromons. And so I did. And there was a time back in that time also that every time there was the gem removal day like today, you would go in and you would unload all of your gems and you would go back and reset all the gems on all of your Astromons. And I would spend hours a day doing that to, in case I'd gotten a slightly better gem. This way I could, shift all the gems around.
You are a very brave man to do that. I've never done that playing the game, not once.
Oh, no, this was, a year, 2 years ago. You would you would go through and literally pull off every single gem and then put them back on the mons you wanted. Your best mons that you thought were your best mons, you would give your best gems, and then you would cycle the mediocre, the so-sos and then the mediocres to whatever you had left.
Because there's a couple guys in Discord that are like, the free gem removal days and stuff like that. They'll just go at it, and I'm like, dude, I would never go through my freaking mon box and take all my gems off and put them back up there because I'll probably just cry at that point.
Oh, yeah, it takes a crap ton of time to do that. It really does. And then if you get towards the end and you realize, well, I really need good gems for this mon, and then you have to go back and look through your gems again to find what mon you can pull gems off of.
It's just,
I actually do have him set up with attack. So he actually does have some decent attack running on him. Although the protection is bad, but Yeah, some nice stats for him for resistance.
Some attack up there. Essence is always a issue for me too because I'm not sure if it's just for you, but I could swear every time like I have like a more DPS oriented Astromon, it always goes into like freaking recovery or something. Like
It does, and I think I've come to the realization for like these, the first two slots, if you don't get a good roll on it, you toss it. You immediate because it only costs like 100 or 150 to reset on those first two slots. It gets more, obviously more expensive at each slot you go further, but you might as well get the best stats you can or that you're going to be happy with in those first two slots. And it's a hell of a lot less expensive to re-roll then than to go back and have to re-roll at 250 after you've built it out.
100% agree with that. All right, here's one of the Drakas. You actually have a variant one. Must be nice.
Yeah, I got did I get that from? I made that. This is one of the I've gotten two variant gleams from eggs the entire time I played from the game, and I made this Draka the variant from that egg.
I've gotten some variant gleams, but I can't remember what I've done with them.
I put it on this Draka. I remember if I put the other variant. Well, it's on one of the other 5 stars. So the Gilgamesh was a regular variant. I've got like 2 other variant Gilgameshes I think sitting in my storage.
You
But
have
I've
an
never
Evo 3 Fire Gilgamesh, but why?
because I haven't gotten a Dark Gilgamesh, and so I wanted the Aster Gems from the guide. What's funny though? He actually is useful in clan versus clan because he's got the 100% stun, and eventually he's going to get the heal off on the team. So he is useful for shutting stuff down in clan versus clan.
You're not running. Well, you did send some of them over on Discord, but I'm super lazy, so I try and run like mono compositions of just like light or dark mons. So
I'm lazy also in that I set those teams up, and then it's incredibly rare for me to actually go in and change any of those guys out, regardless of who I'm fighting or what level they are that I'm fighting. I might, if we're against like a really high tier clan that day, I might tweak my team based on what I see that they have in the defenders. So I just make sure I kill them, but I usually don't bother changing any of them out.
I can't blame you for that. I just get super lazy because it's like, dude, if I have to change this for every single fight that I do, I'm never going to have time to do anything else.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen, and maybe you did the videos, but I think it was Odin maybe that did the videos for the Beths. The Beths have been really, really powerful against the Serpent boss. So you line up a Beth with an exposed weakness that it feeds off of, and your Beth is going to do the highest damage on your team against those Serpent bosses.
That I don't think I can't recall if I've seen it or not because, well, I've been very bad with what's his name, Apophis, because I don't know, it's just another time sink, if that makes any sense. So I literally just go in there, hit auto select, and just let it run and get off because I'm like, I just want to play something else.
No, I had kind of been doing that. I've been working on tweaking my teams, so I'm either the number 1 or number 2 for my clan for the Apophis, and it's good Aster Gems every week for me to get. So I keep trying to make the teams better, but the Beth in combination, like I said, with that exposed weakness, just hits incredibly hard against Apophis.
And I think there's some other guy that came up with like a guide for it. I'd shared it a while. It was on like the little YouTube community tab, but I could take a look at that one again and just see what's going on because I don't know. I just the situation with me is I just been playing, obviously you've been playing the game for a while too, and they introduce new stuff, but it's not really new, if that makes any sense. Like it's almost the same thing, just slightly different looking. And I mean, I get away with Astro Gem's just fine as it is, so I'm like, why change it up?
Yeah, I actually like that they added the random chance to the shop. It makes the shop actually more useful. So I'm trying to get my Astro Gems to 30,000. So the next time they actually have a Primo Festival, I can guarantee I can get the lighter dart unit that I want out of it. So I skimped on I only did like one guaranteed draw the last Clan Fest, and I'm not going to do any draws this Hero Fest. I always actually end up burning out 34 stars to get the 600 Astro Gems for melting them off during the festival for whatever the unit of the day is.
I can't even believe I'm seeing this either. You have an Evo 3 freaking light. I mean, not light, but fire Jormungandr.
Yeah, he actually was a variant when I got him. So I'm like, well, I got a variant. I don't have a light or dark version of him either. So
Can you explain this to me?
for why I have him as Evo 3?
Yeah. I need explanation.
After gems. So,
That is a steep investment for some gems.
Well, I mean, for me, not really, because I didn't have any other 5 stars to toss to do anything with. So I ended up with enough of the Leviathans to make him, and so you get your 4. If you don't have anything else, you're using your gleams on. You clean it up, and you get 320 Astro Gems for getting that to level Evo 3. And then you also get, plus running him up to 60, you get the 100 Astro. You'll notice I have a huge number of level 60 units. It's because every time I level 60 somebody, I get 100 Astro Gems.
Not the freaking fire Jormungandr, man. I just wonder, like, do you use him, or is he just here just to exist in your mon box?
I have used him a little bit. Prior to getting some of my Drakas up with the higher crit rate, his crit rate increase was quite useful for that. Because he basically could keep the crit rate up and running. And that was useful prior to getting the Fire Drakas crit rates higher. That he does have the decreased enemy resistance, so I can put him in first slot with there are, and this is for PvP teams generally, I can put him in a first slot and tie him to some shockers, and it makes it a hell of a lot harder for the other teams, even if they have high resistance, to resist getting shocked out. So he does have a use. I don't do that team very often. I have a dark team that is a hell of a lot of fun to play. Especially during the PvP week, where you get the free SP boost for the first slot on the first turn. So that team is using the Dark Bunny, and I pair it with my Dark Cupid lead, Dark Bunny, I think a Dark Sea Star, and the Dark Hana. And the Dark Bunny steals whatever buffs the other team has that I don't want them to have. So and the dark, when you get to the Dark Bunny, you'll probably laugh when you see it, but it hits really, really hard, and I actually enjoy it when I see the Dark Persephone show up at full SP, because I'll hit her right away, and usually kill her outright. And or if I don't kill her outright, I'm shielded, it's dark, she'll use her ult, I'll survive it, she'll get her I come back to life ability, and then I'll steal that from her. So now my Dark Bunny, if the Dark Bunny dies, he comes back again.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, the lovely Undying Volition.
Yes, but it's stealable. So very, very amusing.
I also haven't tested out the bunny. I mean, I've been just once again lazy. I don't think I've changed my PvP offense team in like 2 years, to be honest. Like, even in that 3 league, sometimes I just wonder, what am I doing with my life on this game? Because nothing just ever changes. Because I have my Dark Merlin lead. Obviously, he has discernment. There's 2 light Yukis and like light Griffins. So I can like auto up the challengers like no problem. So I'm just like, why change it?
No, I mean, absolutely. When you have a team that's functional and works, the that team, when it's you have a defense team, it's harder to defend against that sort of team. What you really have to have is you have to have somebody that gives you SP immunity, or not SP, shock, all the immunities. That would be a bit tougher, and you have to hope that they actually get it off. If they get it off, then you're going to have a lot more trouble because you're not shocking them out.
Do you use your fire cures anywhere?
I do. I do. I use them. They all get used during the Apophis because they're both SP boosters, and Apophis doesn't give a lot of SP. So that 10% increase is nice. The shields are nice. I do use them for, where else do I use them? I use them as leads somewhere else because they're attack downs. I use them as leads for Dimensional Dungeon against the, not Dimensional Dungeon, the Titans. The attack downs against the Titans can be useful, in addition to the SP boost with the shielding.
You use them, but they're not fully booked up. What is this?
I mean, when you book stuff up, it's mainly damage, right? I mean, how much damage do you think they're really going to throw? They're never the high damage dealers.
We got recovery up boost with the shield. I mean, that's free. That's free heal.
Yeah, they're getting there. We're getting there. I mean, you see that I have multiple of the Huras, so
I'm just over here judging you. I have to do something. I have to do something for the entertainment aspect of this.
Oh no, it's all good. The light cure I have fully booked up, I think. My dark cure I think I fully booked up. The water cures I think are mostly booked up.
Oh man, you just said light cure.
Light cure can be fun.
Fun where? I need explanation.
Light cure can be fun in PvP because it's another shocker. And then if you actually get her buff off, it means that you're going to prevent the other team from getting their ults off basically ever because you're going to take their SP away from them when you do damage across the board. So they'll never, if you have the Light Cura's ult that goes off, they never get a chance to use their ults against you. The only potential exception is maybe against a Dark Kraken if your team doesn't do enough damage to take it below 10% and it's on an SP 10% gem and it manages to get the 10% boost so it can actually get that off.
I have no words.
You don't like the fire dropper?
No, I mean for light cure. I mean,
Oh.
she's very niche, but I will say that at least she's actually usable, unlike the dark one.
I actually I think the dark one's got more use now than the light one.
There's no way. That's just not possible.
She's got the 10% SP boost for the team. If you have her with a variant, she's a attack down for the other whatever you're fighting. And I'm not even remember what her ult is offhand at the moment.
Doesn't she have double morale boost?
It is it a morale boost? I don't remember what her ult is offhand at the moment, actually. But I thought there was a reason, and I have heard chatter elsewhere that she's a lot more usable than the light one is at the moment.
Yeah, I have the little bot on Discord. She's double. She has morale boost for allies, and then she has the weird one where it's like a buff instead of like just instant. So you get like morale boost for like 3 turns on everyone.
Okay, so it's the same buff as the Dark Hannah then.
No. She has Zeal, which I think is far superior than morale boost.
Oh, okay.
Because morale boost, I'm assuming if it's going off of her passive skill, it's a small percentage, while I feel like Zeal is just a lot more potent. So it's like, why do you guys do this to poor Dark Kira?
Yeah. Back to the Drakas. I keep trying to beat the explore 120 or 100 of the fire tower, and I keep failing at it. And I've not been able to put together a team that can do it. I mean, who knows? Maybe we can try that Florida day if you want. It's free respec day, so we can respec items on across the board to shift something. I have the units to do it. I've just never been successful at doing it because I just don't think I've got the gems set up quite right to pull that off yet.
Evo 3, Fire and Kiddo.
Yeah,
I'm
she
seeing it
does.
all today.
She doesn't get used for anything. She really doesn't. She got used for Aster gems. That's what she got used for.
Now, what if I told you that's a boy?
Oh, I know it is. She still got used for Aster gems. The Scheherazade, she actually does really good damage against Titan.
She should far out damage someone like Xiao Jing for sure. And she should be pretty close to Fire Shinobi, I would imagine.
Yeah, no, she does really good damage, and the not just the damage, but having her on the team actually helps the team survive a hell of a lot longer from her ult.
With the whole damage protection.
Yeah, so it's a 50% damage reduction. So I mean, you don't need as much healing if she's getting her ult off. You still need healing, but you're going to survive a hell of a lot longer for your team, which means you're dealing a lot more damage.
There you go, man. With these freaking resist gems, what is this?
I told you some of these units are placeholders for holding gems.
What is this?
Well, I mean, the other for her, if you're going to have a fire Valkyrie and she doesn't, I mean, her goal is to be able to get her 50% SP, and if she doesn't do it, she can't throw her stun. So unless you've got substats to get you some resistance, she's going to be a target and just get shut down.
Was she sitting at like what, only 50k?
Yeah, she doesn't have a lot of hit points. She's going to be a target. She's going to be a target anyway. Again, she's another one I don't use for anything right now. So
She would be super great with books, but I don't know anyone that can just like, oh, I have plenty of Nat 5 books laying around. Let me just book this one up.
yeah, no, I agree, because then her stun goes to 2 turns. I think it's just a 1-turn stun now. Yeah, so she's effectively useless without that 2-turn stun. And you know what? For her being a 5-star unit, they really should have her as a 2-turn stun for that ult. I mean, with books, make it 3 turns. There are other 3-turn units that do things.
I mean, they could, but also considering what they did to freaking Saren and her super evolution, I don't think they're worried about it at all. Let's super evo a mon that is as old as this game, but not update her skills whatsoever.
Yeah. I've actually seen some really good teams with the Super Sarens on them. One of them was a fire team that had her as lead for the defense boost, and then had her paired with a fire Hannah, and then something else. And that team just was incredibly durable and did good damage, but incredibly durable. And I've always liked the water Saren and the light Saren. I've got I think pretty much all of them.
I mean, they look cool aesthetically, but I was just like taken aback that you would go through all the work of like, going through the process of making her a new model and animations, but literally no stat changes, no skill changes whatsoever. It's like that was the perfect time to do it.
Yeah. This guy's one of the guys that I've been working on tweaking to try taking to that fire, because there are there are a number. Oh, and you asked about the fire cura. If you're going to fight floor 100, you have to have either a fire. You have to have either a fire cura lead or a fire, um, the fungi, the fungor, whatever, because you have to have an attack down, or you absolutely can't do it because the boss will just kill you outright. If you look and you can see when you go over to the map for the floor, you can go open the fire dungeon up and just look at everybody who's actually beaten it. And every single person who's beaten it has had 90% or better has had one of those two as their lead mon. Because if you don't, she just one shots your team, or one shots say your team, one shots each member of your team once, and they're dead.
Come on, man. You're going to do Fire Shinobi wrong like this and give everything good to Fire Scheherazade?
Well, for the time being, it's I do the dragon dungeons, and yes, I absolutely do need to up his attack so he gets some better damage. But I built him. I probably haven't changed him for like the last year, 2 years maybe. But you're absolutely right. I do need to update his trinkets because apparently I've got a crap trinket in that middle slot. I doubt I even put any points into it. And this shows you how old this thing was, because this was, I'm sure, prior to them being able to be melting the trinkets for dust. And so I would just slot trinkets in so I'd have something in there for points.
I mean, the trinkets, I cannot look past. The leech set, I will argue, like, okay, maybe you have like some flat stats up there, but I mean, come on. At least for me, running dragons, I can have like 60 sigils and I'll get like one usable gem, so I can't complain about that part.
Yeah. No, the leech set on him has been quite useful because he usually is one of the last to die, because he's always getting all of his health back for the damage he's throwing when he lands, just his normal attack. And his ult is useful because it puts a attack down on it. So yeah, he's on the Titan fire team, but he does need some more work.
That's why he needs justice.
He does need justice. I think I had a 5-star gem on him still too.
Do you use your fire Odin at all?
Not really. I've experimented with working on her gems and trying again to like the fire floor, but I don't use her for anything.
Okay, we're gonna move on. I was just looking. I was like, what's happening here? And then also Fire Verde, but you only have one Evo 3 Fire Shinobi? And you do have Fire Scheherazade too. Okay, that would explain it then. I just wish they would like swap these freaking Astromon skills or something. Like, why do we have Courageous Strike on the 5-star slot? Like, you're making it based on RNG.
Yeah, honestly, for the Titan fights, which is where I'll bring her sometimes on the second string Titan team for wood, having it there is not necessarily bad, because every time she gets the full orb, she gets to use it, because it's generally all or nothing. She either is going to get it or she's not going to get it. And if she doesn't get it, she can land a blind, which helps the rest of the team because it means they take less damage.
But I mean, yeah. But if you take a look at her attack stat, it's only 2.5k. Her ceiling in terms of doing damage is already severely just hampered.
Oh, well, absolutely. She's on the second string team. If I've already used my fire team for another wood run, I'll switch over and I'll probably slot her in. She's not on a primary team for it, and she's also a 4-star mon. She's not a 5-star mon to start with.
Because I don't think we need blind anymore in terms of hitting Wood Titan.
Well, blind gives the Titan both attack down and crit rate down, I think.
I know it lowers the crit rate. Yes, crit rate and crit damage.
Oh, and crit. Oh, blind foes critical hit rate and damage are reduced. Oh, well.
But I mean, obviously you don't have any more Shinobis, but with Shinobis, hopefully, and also like Fire Poseidon throwing down weakens and attack downs, then blind is just nullified at that point. Because I mean, you're still going to take damage, but if your shinobis are healing themselves, then at that point it's just a wasted slot. But I'm not saying this specifically for you. I mean for people with 85 of the same astromon.
Oh yeah, no, I've again AstroGuides for a lot of the units.
You did luck out and get you some fire midsummers already. I mean,
Yes.
we're just on the fire part, but still.
I was very fortunate for the fire primos. They actually have proven incredibly useful for purging stuff off of things.
And aren't they doing that for the Purse Primo? Where they are being nice?
Yeah, they're going to be giving you can get a lighter dark if you have enough gems to do it. But I'm not going to have enough gems by that time to get the dark Persephone. So that's also, like I mentioned, there's a reason I'm working on building my Astro Gems up. So the next time a Primo Festival actually shows up, I'll have enough gems banked away to make sure I can get to the lighter dark that I want to pull.
I'm totally just taking a break from pulls, man, because, I mean, anniversary's coming around, and I'm praying that I can at least get one book for one of my Dark Indras, but it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, I need a single remaining book to get my Light Arthur fully booked up. And of course, the one side that's not booked up is the 2-turn shock. So I really do need that last book, but it'll be a little bit longer before I pull that off.
Wait a minute, can you explain this to me?
Which part?
You have your Valk Ultimate Evo, which is fine. You can take trinkets off and stuff like that. She has recovery seal, but she has 2 crit rate gems on her.
Oh, did I put 2 crit rate gems on her? Maybe. What's the crit rate she's got?
What do you mean by that? Because there's crit rate attack, and then there's also crit rate.
Oh, yeah, I guess I do have 2 crit rate. Well, she's got it. Okay, so go back to her primary skill for a second.
For Predator?
Skill. Yeah, Predator. Increased damage dealt by 50%. So right now, and I'll justify it. It's going to be a bad justification. But right now, I'm going to take your team, for example, your defense team that you mentioned for PvP. So that's one of the places, if I was going to use her, would be PvP. You have Merlin, who's dropping the enemy attack. No, enemy resist. Scratch that. All right, so your team's not a good example, but there are teams that drop enemy crit rates. And so this way, even if you have a crit rate drop lead, and you have because they put crit resistance as an enhancement, as well as I think is on the trinkets. So you have mons and teams that you might lose 30 to 40% of your crit rate chance. So if I've got 118% crit rate, there's a really damn good chance, even if you got crit resistance, I'm still going to land the crits on you. And in order to really scale the damage for the Predator, you really need to land the crit.
Yes, I would argue, but also...
And I probably also didn't have another good square gem to slot on there, so that's probably...
I mean, you could hit this type of crit rate with an intuition set. Like, it's definitely possible. Without sacrificing another slot for the crit rate gem. And even then, if they do resist the crit anyways, the problem comes in if she's surviving long enough to get her attack up off. Because at that point in time, if you're lucky enough with her critting or someone else on your team critting, somebody on the opposite side's probably going to die. I mean...
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Because, I mean, she doesn't have anything like crit related. So, I mean, what I'm saying is, if I saw her as like a dark type and this was an issue, obviously because they have the innate higher crit damage, then I'd be like, I'll let it pass. But with her being RGB...
If I had her as a Darkmon, I would be very upset if I saw this layout on her. Because the Dark Valky is a 2-turn stunner on the first slot. And why do you need a high crit rate for a 2-turn stunner on the first slot? Their job is to survive and not get knocked and not get debuffed so they can't do anything, and actually stun the other team out so they never do anything.
No, I meant for this example, if she was a dark type, not saying replacing dark
Oh,
Valk, but if she had this skill kit and she was a dark type, then I could let it slide.
okay.
So you know what, you have the extra crit damage to kind of nullify things. It'll buff out, but I just had to stop and stare for a moment.
No, it's yeah, they're fun mons to look at. Absolutely.
Now, keep in mind, all this advice is professional, but it is unlicensed.
No, it's you actually should license your advice though. It'd be like the lawyers. This is the advice I give you. Whether you choose to follow it is completely up to you or not.
And that is a scenario that's very relevant all the time. All right, I need to find some other dirty mon to start picking your brain about. Because I see all your super evos just stacked up over here.
Yeah, I told you I've got a lot. I actually really like the water gene. I have her fully booked up. Granted that gem isn't perfect on her, but I do actually run a team for an attack team that you'd like. Okay, I'm going to give you as an example against your defense team, or against, I guess, against your attack team. I don't know if you use the same team. No, you said you use it for defense. The Merlin, the 2 Yukis, and the Light Griffin. So I'll run the Light Gene as the lead. I'll run the Water Gene as the lead. The Light Zephyr, which I have fully booked up. I'll run my Light Yuki, and then I'll run Wood Hohenheim. And I will lock out 2 of your defenders on the first turn. On the next turn, I'll lock out your other 2 defenders. And then I just cycle back and forth until they're all dead.
My defense team is different, I will say.
Well, I'm giving you an example for a PvP team. That team is really hard to stop because the first turn advantage, generally it locks out 2 people on the other team, and then it's all downhill for them at that point.
Yeah, because this is 2 turns. And she does have stun too.
Yeah, it's a 2-turn, and her stun is also an 80% for 2 turns. I mean, she's actually, in my mind, she's superior to the Fire Valkyrie just on her skill set. I know you've mentioned the sleep you're not a big fan of, but it's an auto crit whenever you actually hit them to wake them up. And for her, it locks them out for 2 turns, so they're not doing anything unless you hit them.
Very interesting. Wild Fang, a lovely beginner mon staple right here.
Yeah.
There's Yuki. You got some books into Yuki, so I'm assuming at some point in time you're using her.
I do use her for who is it? Hello, my cat who just walked in. I used her for what is it? Every week the dungeon that you go into to what dungeon is that one? It's the dungeon that you want to have sappers. So she can be a sapper.
The dimensional dungeon.
Yes, I think that's the one that you need sappers for the sap team. So she's, I think, one of my sappers on that team.
Yeah, their naming convention is just terrible because we have dimension defense, we have the dimensional dungeons, dimensional whatever. I'm just like, before Apophis or Apophis came out, when you said dimensional, I automatically thought of dungeons. But now, like, even I find myself in videos like, what am I talking about? Because am I referring to the dungeon or am I referring to the Snake Boy?
Yeah. I actually, I'm going to mention something else too for the Apophis. The Water Arthur and the water succubus are both very useful, even if they don't throw damage, because they can keep shuttling in that attack down. They're not reliant on the SP coming off the Apophis because he's very stingy. They self-generate. Um, so landing that attack down is incredibly useful. So both of them are quite useful for the Apophis fights, as are the dead rat. The dead water rat is quite useful for the Apophis fights also.
Evo 3 Water Wukong.
He actually, I think I've got him on one of my clan versus clan teams. He actually is quite useful for, he throws good damage and he's an off healer. I mean, he keeps himself healed for the damage he throws and he'll heal the team. So I don't even think on that team I bring a healer because I've got him on it.
Oh, you actually built your Sonic up.
Oh yeah, yeah, he's actually fully booked too. He is incredibly durable and he does good damage. And he also because he can self heal with that heal set. He's in a way a lot like the Water Wildfang, but he's even more durable.
You keep closing the door on them cats, man.
Well, he keeps coming over and pushing at it and come in, and then he comes over and he'll stand on his back legs and grab at my shorts because he wants me to take him outside. I don't want to take him outside right now, so he's just gonna have to deal with that.
Take the cat outside.
Yeah, well, I put him on a harness and walk him outside when we take him outside.
You don't have any issues with him like trying to bolt for the door or anything?
To bolt to run out of the house. He'll always go to the front door when we're there, and we have to make sure he doesn't go out because he was an outside cat until something attacked him and took a chunk out of his butt, and he wasn't even our cat, but he is now because we took him to the vet, got him stitched up, and now he's an indoor cat. Like we'll keep him on the screen porch during the day, so he's outside, and then we'll take him for a walk either in the morning or the evenings on a leash.
Because I thought about it for my cat, like taking him out, but I'm just scared that he'll get like accustomed to it. So every time I open the door, he's gonna be like,
Um, has he been an inside cat all his life?
No, he came from like an animal shelter, so he was like hanging out like in Burger King parking lots and stuff before they scooped him up.
Okay. So, yeah, all of ours have been, I say all, the three that we've had have been all rescue cats. If he doesn't wait by the door now, he probably won't wait by the door after you harness him up either.
If I can get him to that point, because I guess the initial stage of putting them up there, he's just like, I can't move.
Yeah, they'll you got to put the harness on them, leave them in the house so they can get accustomed to actually walking around. And then, you've got to be patient with them outside because if you just try dragging them, they'll just lay on the ground and you literally will be dragging them. So, but you definitely need to make sure. Actually, the water one here for the bunny, I don't use him too much, but he is like a mini version. And again, the gem on him sucks because that's what I had for the heal gem.
I was gonna say I am confusion.
Yeah, no, like I said, I don't use him much, but he's like the mini version of the dark one. The dark one's better, but he does have he's one of the few units that has the forced exchange. So I've actually with the forced exchange on the dark one, I've gone into fights with no sappers of my own, and I've killed off the entire other team with sap. Because they, like a heavy Yuki team, I would literally just be bouncing their sap back onto them and it would kill.
With just the water bunny?
No, no, the dark one. Because the dark one's superior because the dark one will transfer out 2 of the debuffs back at them. The water one only does 1.
This water cure has dirt nasty low recovery. What is up with this?
She's a lead unit for the attack down. She is an exposed weakness, and that's what she's used for.
Because she does have the attack up to.
She has the attack up for the team. She's got the high resist to make sure she doesn't get locked out. She's got good defense to make, stay alive. And she she doesn't need a whole bunch of healing if she's not, if she's with a tanky-ish team.
But she does need healing if to help them, if that makes any sense, to help them keep their.
It does, but she is how to put this best. It's very rare that I've had a healer make the difference because they had low healing or high healing and the team losing or winning a fight. If the healer's coming along, they're healing, but you only need just enough healing to survive. You don't need to be overdoing it. Because, I mean, how much more than 100% health are you going to get?
What do you mean, for like the healer or for like the attacker?
For the healer. Or for any of the units. When you throw a heal, let's say your mon's at 60% health, and your heal is going to get them to 150% health. They don't get a temporary health boost. They cap out at whatever their max health is. So if you're going to be throwing over healing on something, then you're wasting that healing. Now, granted, if you have, if I was running a team of Dark Mihos with a Wood Draka or a Light Shiva, hit point based team, you absolutely want the higher recovery so you get more health back. But if you're with a team that's only got, 50, 60,000 hit points, how much total healing do you need to throw on a heal to heal them back up? Unless I'm completely misunderstanding the heal mechanic. It's not healing them of a percentage, it's healing them of X flat amount worth of heal.
Well, when I'm taking a look at her, I'm looking at her more from like a Titans aspect, which may be part of the rift here. Because she's like a key unit in terms of Titans. So her having that higher heal stat, even though you can't, obviously you don't get any benefit from overhealing, but in a situation of where you need to keep someone, like, say for instance, I don't know, your courageous strikers topped off, that's going to be the most important aspect, because not only is she topping them off, but we also have the benefit of the attack up, if that makes any sense. Like, I want them to be fully healed because that crit could kill them.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. If she is in the lead, though, the crit chance of killing them is diminished because she's hitting the Titan with the attack down. Granted, it's still going to scale because it's a crit, but the attack damage you're taking is less overall.
Until we get the boosted up stats from Titans, and you just eventually pass away.
Well, yeah, and same. I actually found it really interesting. And they brought Lupin back the last two times, and one, I've always liked reading the banter there on occasion. I don't know if you noticed the riff off of Frozen for the baby shark, but there was a comment in there that was throwing down against Frozen, the song and the film. But Baby Shark's Lupin, there were only like 6 days worth. But the prior Lupin, there was like 10 or 12 days worth of that Lupin dungeon.
Correct.
And he got all sorts of serious in there for throwing damage. So I made it through, like, I think up through like day 10, killing a Lupin per attack until I no longer could kill him in a single attack, and it took me 2 attacks to kill him. But got lots of, I don't remember which dungeon that was, but I know I got lots of shards off of that. She actually, that Balroxy for my water team does generally the most damage against the Titans. And that's also one of the other things. A lot of my courageous strikers are on dragon heal theft sets. And so because of that, when they're hitting those courageous strikes, they're going to be fully healed after that hit. So having the lower healing recovery on the Cura has not bothered, or on the healers has not bothered me that much.
No, I mean I can't comment to a certain degree because I'm not a Titans expert. I mean I know stuff. I could definitely put more effort into it, but at the end of the day, I know my knowledge limit.
Yeah, I mean, in the clan that I'm in, there are people that are pulling 1 billion damage, literally 1 billion or more damage a week on the Titans. I'm not there at this point. So, still working on improving my Titan teams as I can. And actually, I have increased the damage because I have shown them some of my lineups, and they've actually given some suggestions to help improve it.
Yeah, Titans is a whole nother wacky world out there. Which I mean, it isn't too bad, but just the initial investment is just crazy, especially as like a newer player. Of I need 16 mons, and then I eventually pull, or I eventually never pull courageous strikers to do any real damage. It's like oof.
It is, but what's funny is, to really do well as a clan, you still need those lower tier players because, for example, when Wood Titan has 3 million hit points left at level 110, if I go in there and hit it for 3 million hit points, then the clan is losing out on me being able to hit whatever was next for 20 to 30 million hit points worth. Whereas if you have a lower tier person and they can hit it 3 times and they kill it, then you're actually going to do a heck of a lot better as a clan because you've helped clean. You basically had someone hit cleanup and clear that out. So the heavier hitters could hit the larger scale damages needed on the next one.
Now, I want you to explain to me what's going on here.
Why she's not on a defense set?
Out of all the sets in the world, she doesn't have to be on a defense set. She could literally have 2 Valor gems and one other gem, and I would have went like, okay, it is what it is.
I'm pretty sure all 3 of those are defense gems, and I needed to have all defense gems on her. And that was the only set that I had at the time that could fit on her that were all defense gems. So that's why she's got the attacker set for all defense gems.
But within these gems, like some of the subs aren't. I mean, you have an HP sub on that one, but that's literally it. There's the set bonus doesn't bring anything to the table, is what I'm saying.
No, I know. I'm well aware. We talked earlier about why it's a good idea, but will drive you crazy to yank all your gems off of all your mons and then reassign all your gems to fix stuff. But that way madness lies as well.
All I can say is that you're a very brave man.
It kills me that she's the only one that I've gotten devastating strike on.
No, that's normally how that happens.
And so I'm like, okay, well, she does really low damage, but at some point she'll do slightly more damage. Yeah. I need to actually fix him because obviously I yanked a gem off him for somebody else.
I was looking at him. I was like, "There's no way he's pushing max resist with 2 gems. There's just no way."
Well, he is. He's just one of them's a resistance gem. So. What's sad is I really do want to get a Persephone trinket set, but I've just been denied. So I'm just going to have to suck it up and wait until I can get enough essences that I can pick the one that I want and finally get the last piece that I need so I can actually put the full set on one of my Persephones.
Is this another compromise? I need explanation.
For the water Persephone? Yeah, it is. But look at all the stuff that she has. So Water Persephone, and I understand she has a crit rate gem there, but you need to have her at 85%. She's got 85% resistance, so she's not, likely to get whatever shut down. She's got high hit points, which is what you want on a Persephone for the 10% health. And that's the gem set that I had available that could meet those two requirements. Yes, one of them is a crit gem, but the subset gems with the set bonus, which in this case is actually useful for her, is why she has what she has. But yes, she does not crit for a lot of damage when she crits.
We're gonna keep it moving. How is Water Griffin, by the way?
I actually like Water Griffin. This is the wrong gem set to have on him. There's having the hit point siphon on him is completely the wrong set, but it met the requirements for what I needed, which at the time was resistance and some defense and hit points. But he doesn't steal hit points for shit for self-healing. So I need to pull that all off of him and give it to one of my courageous strikers and switch him back out. The barb taunt is useful. I have seen teams that have maxed him out, so he actually has the 2-turn barb taunt, and he can throw some pretty good damage on those teams because they've booked him up. Um, uh, he's very low on my list to ever get booked out, though.
He does have that defense gem, but I'm assuming that's just because you wanted to get him on that set in particular.
Well, yeah, I mean, he needs to have some defense.
Like I can understand one slot, but I guess I'm only heckling you because of the whole resist gem taking up an HP gem slot.
Yeah.
Because I mean, HP defense is fine even for an aggressor, because obviously you can have a whole bunch of HP, but if your defense is literally nothing, that HP is just going to get shredded. I mean,
Yeah, it will get you through real fast. Now, and his bonus for him is he's got the barb taunt, and the barb taunt, I'm pretty sure, helps reduce damage taken as well for that turn. Oh no, that's the counterattack. Oh, never mind. I guess it doesn't. I thought it did do some defense. Well, never mind. He doesn't do any defense from it.
I mean, I guess in one way too, if you look at it, if he had more HP as long as he survived, maybe in theory he would do more damage, but then that would also put pressure on whatever healer that you have to make sure that he's topped up next time, because if not,
he's going to die.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very risky.
I used to use the Water Nix a lot because the 3-turn seal can be very useful. It will effectively shut down a large swath of Mons. But I just haven't been using her almost at all at this point. I haven't had anything to use her for.
Yeah, she's, at least in my opinion, a bit outdated. It's not like she's bad, but it's just, like you said before, there's just better Astromon nowadays to use.
Yeah, I've got her. I think all of my best right now are Evo 2.
I'm looking for more interesting guys, because if not, this video is going to be 5 million hours long, and
Yeah.
I will tell you, editing, that's all I can say.
Yeah, no, I understand. She actually is very useful. I use her in combination with a Draka and usually a Dark Mona for just wave clears when I'm doing map. So I'll use her with my wood Artemis, who's also on a siphon set for map clear. So they'll cruise through stuff really fast, and I'll toss whatever team composition. I always have someone else I'm leveling. So this way they can level somebody up quickly.
They should just give Wood Artemis morale boost or something. Like, why does she have damage reduction?
You skipped the water Leviathan, but I think I got like 11,000 attack on him.
After I saw Banshee, I was just scared to see any more curse mons. I mean, he's Evo 2, so I can't expect you to be unless you're actively using him.
No,
Because
I'm not.
yeah, he's extremely frail at this point.
He is. The only way to change that is to get another skill book to make the shield a 2-turn shield. But even then, it's not. It's the shield is based off of his attack, which is wacky, but it means you can have a strong shield if you literally max out that attack.
And I do see some. You have 2 water acers.
I have 2 water racers that they're both Evo 2s. You're gonna laugh, but I made my Evo. Well, I have a wood. Well, I've got a couple of wood acers. The wood acer I made Evo 3 over the water acers. I'm actually really glad I did. The wood acer just crushes stuff in PvP. Crushes stuff against I'm gonna keep calling it snake because the other Apophis dimension boss also because the defense attack. When I'm fighting against a water Persephone or dark Krakens or dark Siegfrieds, if I have the wood Acer, usually that's a one shot. She literally can wipe out the low hit point high defenders in one shot. And it's just hilarious to watch that. I have to be careful because usually the next mon up is a dark Persephone, so I need to make sure I have someone ready to lock her down or shut her down. But it is just amusing to be able to crush people's high defenders with that.
Hey, at the end of the day, as long as you're having fun, I won't lose no sleep over it. Because I mean, it is a game. I mean, there's some people. Oh, you should never use this. You should never use a gleam on like a RGB Nat 4. And I'm just like, dude, it's a video game. Relax. It's gonna be okay, man. As long as the person's having fun, as long as you're clearing out content in the game, then that's it, man.
Yeah, even on these guys, the water acers with the dragon gems, they're the last to die for the team. So they're constantly healing off their attacks. So until he can one shot them, they're generally going to stay alive.
I'm just screaming right now, though.
I know you're seeing the low attack on them, but that's just the way she is at the moment.
Like I know she's Evo too, but
I actually hatched. I needed a water bath the other day, and I hatched 10 water eggs, and I got that the level 54 girl over on the right. So I've been working on leveling her up. So I'll have another immunity mon to run for Apophis because he likes to throw debuffs.
I'm seeing these Midsummer Mihos on all kinds of sets.
Yeah, they are because I felt bad that they didn't have anything on them while I was leveling them up, so I threw stuff on them.
But why? Why would you do that?
Well, again, because I felt bad they didn't have anything on them.
Oh, good old woulda knew. I used to rock that dude all the time.
I still on occasion see some guys, some teams running him, and if he's built right, he can throw a massive amount of damage out.
Now, can you explain to me why this crit rate gem isn't higher?
At level 15.
Not even level 15. Like a little bit more because he's sitting at 93%.
Yeah, well, because probably I ran out of gold the day that I was working on putting stuff on him. And so I'm like, well, he's just going to sit there.
I'm just trying to ensure he gets that free hunter all the time, at least in theory.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually do like the Dreadfey Banshee for the wood unit. She's got, great SP build. She's another one of mine, though, that she dies and then she gives a boost to the team. Which, if she dies last, then that was completely useless.
double HP and a defense gem just to get the siphon set on her.
Yep.
Say no more. Yeah, but she has an abnormally high attack stat for her to be like an RGB mon too, which is very nice for the wood mons in general because they just Smart Study doesn't like the wood Astromon for whatever reason.
Yeah. No, she is a fun unit to play around with. Yeah, and I actually spent the time to not have any recoveries on that one.
If I could get rid of like recovery, and then the best part too is like you'll have like a healer. Oh, attack, crit damage, crit rate. Where's recovery at? Nowhere.
Yeah, you got to roll to get it.
She's also on a leech set.
She actually can throw some damage because usually if I'm using her, it's on PvP and someone's going to have water on the other side. So she'll get the bonus damage. So she does get some benefit from having that leech set on her. It's not a massive amount, but she does get some out of it.
I was going to say, from memory, she's one of those Astromon that isn't never like recommended, but in the grand scheme of things, like she's not that bad when you have the correct usage for her, if that makes any sense. Like,
yeah, I mean she's got a good defense break and she's got the stun. So I mean, and she's got the resist sleeve.
Oh yeah, it's only one turn though. That I was looking at the stun.
The one turn is a you know, it's a bummer, but she is a 3-star mon to start with. So
she's gonna have a resist gem on her. I'm convinced at this point in time that there's just certain types of people, as soon as I go through their account, where I realize what they do, and you are definitely a resist guy.
well, all right. Again, if you're going to have a unit and that unit's sole job is to debuff the other team, you damn well better make sure you've got 65% as your bonus to your 20%, so you've maxed out what you can have that's useful. So yes, you can do it through substats if you have really good gems, but if you have a lot of mons, it's hard to have a lot of really good gems to pull that off for everybody. So.
And how is Wood Succubus performing?
Not well in general. The water gene is, in my opinion, always better than the wood succubus is. She just is. Yeah. I have played around with teams that are like lockdown sleep-based teams with like a light. Who's the guy? He's like a tiger looking dude. I forgot what his name is, but sure, Light Tiger, the one that does the damage against people that
Boy, he looks more like a gat, but that's the only two Ashman I could think of.
Yeah, I think it's Light Tiger. He does more damage against people that are incapacitated. And so you can put them to sleep and then actually he has, what was it? Well, when you get to the light units, we'll look. But he's got some wacky build that I've done before with him where it's like a constant sleep-based team. You put them to sleep, you're going to auto-crit them, and then you put them to sleep again. And that might be what it is. He can only put somebody to sleep who he crits. And so you make sure that they're sleeping to start with. You hit them again, he does a crit, and he puts them back to sleep. Which is, it's a weird chain to build, but...
Let me see. Yeah, he has sleep and hunter. Light Tiger does.
But his sleep, is it only trigger when he crits? Yeah, so you have to, if they're already sleeping, you're guaranteed to land the crit, and he will put them back to sleep.
Which does make for a very interesting strategy, especially with his hunter too. That just helps coincide with him having that crit reliance. So,
yes,
it's a nice topping on the cake.
Yeah, and yes, I do have 2 Leviathans that are both variants, and neither of them were from Gleams, so they were just...
I mean, you have an actual good one. Not saying the water one's bad, but the water one is unique, shall I say.
Yeah. Oh, this one, the funny thing is I don't even use this one all that much. And he's not a bad unit. I just don't use
No,
him
that
so
makes sense. I
much.
mean, he's great, especially for newer players that they can somehow, like with the, what is it, selective summoning, if they can get him variant to run him in golems until they get something better. But then, obviously, I would just, like, probably get rid of him after that. Because the morale boost and stuff like that, getting that up just takes time. And if you're running golems anyways, you're going to have wave clears. And by the time you get to the golem, then they should be ready to go with sap. Not have to wait an extra turn for him to do his sap for it to stick. Then the golem does his long animation.
Well, if you're gonna run him, you like I have on him. This is actually the correct set in my mind for him to have on him. So he has a 50% SP. So it's every 2 turns he can throw his saps.
Which to me is just weird because there's other Astromon with 50%. And he's only throwing out saps. I mean, they're high potency saps, but I don't know. I just never understand sometimes what Smart Study does. I don't get it. Like the same thing with Pinolo. Like how they nerfed Pinolo, and then
They've made it. Yeah.
I remember, didn't they
Well,
have?
they nerfed him because he was too powerful of an Astromon for a 3-star Mon. He was a double courageous striker, and he was a double courageous striker before they even had Titans. And so his courageous strike was basically meaningless because you didn't have anything that had, 50 million, 100 million hit points to hit off against. So that's why they nerfed him, is because he was throwing more damage than 5-star Mons against those Titans.
Yeah, but it's one of those things too where I guess they wouldn't know they wouldn't know it unless you look back in hindsight. But at the same time, it's like I'm thinking back to the event for him because didn't we get something? This was like a couple years ago where they tricked us or something like that, and we had only gotten like fake Panolos or something, and everyone was mad.
Yeah, yeah, no, there was a lot of you when you would catch them, you had like maybe 1 out of 20 was an actual Pinocchio, and all the others
Oh
were
yeah,
fake
there was like
Panolos.
no distinguishment or something like that.
Yeah, no, you couldn't tell until after you caught them what it was. So you would catch as many as you could. You'd hope you got an actual Pinocchio out of it, and continue from there. I do need to finish skill booking that other one. I'm not sure why I didn't do that yet, but yeah.
Do you have any Merlins?
Wood Merlins, yes, yeah. I've got two.
Nope, you have three.
Well, I guess I've got three, but I've got to finish making, I think, that third one into an Evo 3. None of them are variants, though. I've not gotten any variant Merlins. Yeah. I do have a Dark Merlin, though, because I made it.
The first Hana I've seen. There's no Super Evo Hana out of all of these Astromon.
Oh, you've gone by the Fire Hana, I thought was a Super
No, I mean
Evo.
for like the wood ones.
Oh, no, that's the only wood one I have. I generally I do not Super Evo a unit unless there's an event for the extra Astro Gems for it. So every time the events come around, I'll have a Mon waiting in the wings to get those bonus Astro Gems for it.
I haven't used any of the. I mean, back in the day, I used to rep Dark Gatito, but now I don't even use him. Sad face.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've got them still slotted. I do use him on occasion just he's got the 100% 2-turn defense break.
But I feel like
His,
fatigue
I mean,
is just.
well, fatigue is useless. The only, the only place it's not useless is in PvP. If you want to make sure somebody is not going to get their ult off again, then you hit them. As long as you make sure that you're going to break through their resistance, you can lock them down for 3 turns. But It's sole target. So
And at that point, it's like I rather roll the dice and have potentially all of the team just not being able to act for another turn versus one Astromon in particular.
yeah, I have been working on making meowing. So you'll notice a lot of meowings in wood, just because the exposed weakness has proven to be very useful to pair off of.
Yeah, I'm very happy with like that whole change they did with. I think it was not only him, but Cure had gotten a rework, and there's
Kira, the wood Kira did get a rework.
who else was it?
Um,
When they did like a massive revamp and made a whole bunch of mons like these go from like mediocre to actually like usable, which was great. I think did the Cartoons get changed? They got
I
changed,
think
but I can't
I
remember
think it changed as well.
specifically when.
I think it's been like a year and a half or so now that they did the major change to a lot of the mons.
And then they also changed like the AIs on the healers to um, just heal.
But they haven't. Some of them they haven't finished that tweaking yet. So some of them don't throw their shields or their boosts when they should. They wait until the team is damaged enough and then do it. Whereas you might want them to have the shield or the attack up or the defense up, and they're not throwing it because the team's not injured enough yet to throw a heal. A lot of them they've set the moment, like Dark Cupid. The moment Dark Cupid has enough energy to throw his heal, doesn't matter how much health they have, he'll throw it so that they have the shield up on top of them too. But that same AI they didn't throw across the board to all of the units.
Do you think it would be difficult? I mean, they wouldn't do this, but if like the recovery mons just had a switch on them where we could choose the AI?
I think I think being able to self-select like 3 different options for AI for Mons would be awesome. But it really would only be it really would really be applicable to I'm going to caveat this. It would really only be applicable to healing Mons, to the recovery Mons, or I would actually like a way to tell the Mons to never throw their ults. There are some Mons that I always want to have use their 3-star skill, and I don't care about their ult because I don't want them to use it. I want them only using their 3-star skill. So if there was a way to tell them not to use their ults, like Dark Shinobi, for example, if you could tell him to never throw his ult and always throw Courageous Striker, what would you do?
I guess that just opens up another can of worms, though. I mean, they could do it with recovery, but then I don't know how much effort they're putting into the game.
I think they're still putting effort in. I think the Prima Festival was an example. They actually, designed up a fully new Astromon. So, it seems like they're still making money on it.
Well, yeah, that's the key word. That's the key word.
Yeah, as long as they're still making money on it, they'll still keep putting content out.
But I mean, more so like just like a recovery switch for the Astromon. Because then other people will, oh, attacker should have it too. Oh, all Astromon should have it too. But at least for the recovery, they wouldn't have to go through the process of having some of the Mons. Oh, let me heal once everyone's already dead. Versus, oh, you have 1 HP percent loss. Let me go ahead and pop this shield. Like, it would just add more customization and make players happy. But at the same time, it's also one of those developer things.
Yeah, like I said, the Wood Hohenheim, that's actually one of the units I'll use for PvP a lot. Uh, yeah, she is really useful in combination with the 2-turn denial team that resists down, and then the sap. Once that starts triggering, it's usually game over for the other team.
She's in my opinion, she's a really good sapper too. I used her a lot before we had like B11 through B15, and honestly, she's just equal to like a sapper, like a actual sapper, because with resistance down, that helped my other sapper make sure that sap would always stick. And then with her 5-star skill, after she has resistance down, that's sticking too. So very underrated Astromon.
Yeah, I bring her to the Wednesday Titan. Or not Titan, the Wednesday, whatever the thingy is to get the free skill book when you hit it four times out of the week.
Colossus.
Colossus. There we go. Yeah, so I bring her to the Wednesday Colossus because you want to guarantee that all the saps you hit with are going to affect. But that's the team I actually added the Light Miho to, so I never get taken out on the first wave anymore. The first wave always kills him because he can't land anything in turn to do any damage to people.
I will say it's not a bad Wood Acer.
No, like I said, this is my Wood Acer that will hit and crush Sea Stars or Siegfrieds in one, or if it's not in one hit, she'll kill them in 2 hits. And she'll also tear up the Wood Persephone or the Water Persephones as well, because Water Persephones are built defense and hit points, and she's the preferred mana against them.
You have instilled some form of confidence into me about you.
Thanks.
An hour and a half later, I'm like, okay, he does have the ability.
Yeah, the Wood Artemis is one of the wave clear units that I use also. She actually is pretty good for doing that. See, and now the resist gem on her.
Okay, you're gaining some of the community's respect back. Yeah, I'm not a big stiffler for subs. It was just, especially in the last account review, it was just crazy to see how, I guess, vanilla or how raw Amon's stats are with just basic gems on them, just to fill in that main slot, which is it's crazy because the subs really do add up over time.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a reason some gems are going to be far superior to other gems. And I actually have started using Tails again. I didn't think I would, but I've started using him against Apophis because he does have that exposed weakness in the defense break.
I was going to say I've never used Tails whatsoever.
That's the only place I use him.
Ooh, what about Kana? How is Kana doing for you?
I actually choose a second stringer. I mean, you've seen all the courageous strikers I have right now on my Wood. So she's a second stringer for Wood in case there's a high level water titan I've already hit once. But she's got defense break and courageous strike. So she can land some good
What
damage.
is this?
Oh, I didn't say she was perfect. I just told you she's a second stringer. So
I'm gonna have a very fun time cutting this video up.
But she does have high crit rate on her, so she is going to land crits. The crit damage just isn't very much.
I'm just gonna walk away. I'm just being mean because I think Wood Kana sucks.
I actually like the Kana's animation. And I used to use the Dark Kana all the time in PvP just because, she's got the dance off with hundreds or whatever falling down from the sky, and then she heals the team up to full. So I was always amused using her for that.
Her animation's great. She looks fine. It's just,
and then if she gets stunned or shocked, she has a little bird flying around her.
Once they had introduced better mons, it was just like, why do you still exist?
Actually, you mentioned that, but they've never removed anything from the game. And I say that because I have, and you'll eventually get to the Light Saren, who has a gem set that doesn't exist in the game anymore unless you had it prior to them taking them out of the game.
I remember they had negative stat gems, didn't they? Like it would increase one,
do,
and then
she's got the negative stat gems on her, but they're very effective. So I mean, they're negative. It's an overall 20% increase, but it's 30% up on the positive and 10% down on the negative.
Which I don't know. I think some of the issue though that comes with the Nat fours is they're just with the whole trinkets, and we have super evos and stuff like that. I feel like they're kind of a bit watered down to what they were even like a couple years ago. Because a couple years ago, I would be like, Wood Kana, you have to go for her right now. Like it felt like exciting to go for them because it helps to kind of fill a slot in. But nowadays, it's almost like unless it's a particular Astromon, I'm always just like just don't even do this rebirth. Like for instance, like Water Spark It. Why does Water Spark It and Harley exist, but they made Harley obviously come out later and she's a lot better?
Yeah, I don't fault them for putting new mons out to try filling or make them better at different roles. And honestly, I every festival I'll still burn the 34 stars to get the Astro Gems. I usually will then take those Astromon and melt them into other Astromons. But it's for me at this point, it's just gaining Astro Gems out of those festivals. It's not worth it to go 45 unless I am full up on inventory and I need to burn 45 to get back into being able to do another cycle to get another 600.
How many gems do you need, man? Do you do a festival every single every single time, or
I had it depends. I've rotated around. I've rotated through the Heroes Fest when I was trying to get 5 stars, and then the clan that I was in previous to this clan really didn't do a lot of clan festival pulls. The one I'm in now does a lot of clan festival pulls, so I've shifted more to doing the clan fest pulls. And you know, if you're in a large clan, you're going to get a lot better rewards than being in a smaller clan overall from the clan fest. So it's better to contribute there to, you know, make sure everyone keeps getting lots of cool stuff, or at least stuff.
I don't think I've ever seen a Wood Amayoji on a Siphon set.
She actually, well, this is a first then. Okay, so the benefit for her being on a siphon set is, in theory, if I actually get some crit rate gems on her, so she's actually useful. Right now, keep in mind, she's an Evo 2, so I'm really not using her. But at Evo 3, if I get a crit rate gem on there and she's used in Titan, she would always be able to get her Courageous Strike off every turn. Because she would always get her siphon filled up. But she's not there yet. She needs some friends. One of the it was the Primo Festival, I think they commented in the little chatter, the banter, something about, yeah, once you have 16 people, 16 of the same mons, 15 of them disappear and only one's left. So it's like all these murders are occurring on the ship. It's amusing.
And there's a double crit damage and crit rate Wood Merlin. I am interested in
double crit damage.
Yeah, I'm interested in your explanation.
Oh, well, I mean, he's a little low on attack, but you want the 93, you want 90+% crit chance, and he's got like a 210% crit damage. What's not to like about that? Other than his attack rate needs to be a little higher.
I just want your explanation. That's it. That's it.
You know, the Glendas are nice, but the water genies, or I'm going to call them genies. It's not the genie because Sherazade. There we go. The water Sherazades are better for the immunity because they self-build it.
Yeah, there's another Wood Glenda right there.
She's only Evo 1, but
and another Wood Acer.
Yep.
So you have three wood, yeah, three wood acers too.
I do 3 wood acers. I have the first one, the one with the really good. Um, that's the one where we were able to pick the 5-star unit that we wanted. And she's actually the one that I picked because I had other units to make her an Evo 3 right away at that point, and I wanted that defense boost attack. And I've actually been quite happy with that. Yep. I actually like the light Yuki that I've got set up at the moment.
Yeah, she's pretty decent. She is better than at least one of mine. One of mine has literally like very low resist, but I've still been getting up high in PvP, so I just let her go, man. Yeah, one of mine
If
only
no
has
one,
21% resist.
yeah, if no one's hitting her with anything that causes a debuff, then you're fine.
And then also, how is Light Valk performing for you?
I actually like her. She's only got the 1 turn on the shock, but if she's one of the other units that I can pair off with the resist down units to guarantee that somebody's locked down. The 50% damage reduction is incredibly valuable. And the moment she goes under 50% health, she's giving 10% health and 10% SP to everybody because of the trinket set. So I actually really do like her as a unit. She's not, and I'm going to say this, she's not a high damage unit. And as I say that, I know she's got like almost 9,000 attack and almost a 50% crit rate. But I use her more for the utility than I do for anything else. The super ascension skill on her, the shield, actually, I have that on her and the Arthur, both of my light Arthur, both of them got that shield, and that shield is very useful. It actually has made a number of times the difference in PvP matches when the shield pops up and they can't get damage on you and you last hit them. So I do like her.
I was just thinking, I was like, what is her shock? And then I saw it was 1 turn. I was like, okay.
It's 1 turn. She's another one. You've got a skill book up to get to the 2-turn shocks.
Which is odd because they're so. I mean, I understand shock is different than stun, but then they go ahead and roll out a beast like Dark Valk, and it's just like, hey, how you doing?
Well, it's not just that, but you also have Light Lucy, and she's got a 2-turn shock as her base skill. And she's like, with books, she's like a 90% chance to shock. So you'll see the Light Lucy I have. She's like a hit point sponge for the one I have. Actually, I think I have 2 Light Lucies at the moment.
I forgot Light Lucy even existed, or shall I say, Light Snow White.
Yeah, no, she is Snow White. I mean, that's like the light panda bear was Gordon Ramsay until they changed the name.
My favorite thing about Snow White though is like, oh, I have Dark Snow White, and my mind is just like Dark White. I know it's a name, but
Yeah, yeah. I actually do like the Light Knifey. I don't use her as much as I used to, but I mean, she is, especially with the super ascension skill I got on her, very durable.
now, do you see anything wrong with this picture?
Oh no, she's got 2 attacks on there.
Okay, just, just checking, just checking.
But what am I going to do? Re-roll them and get recoveries?
Well,
I'll answer that for you. No, I'm not going to re-roll them and put recovery in there.
I was gonna say there's an HP slot and there's also another defense slot you could go for. Not saying you have to do it, but FYI, if anyone out there has attack
Yeah.
on their light Nikes, you need to go ahead and subscribe to the channel.
Keep in mind, though, if she gets sealed, those attack ups are useful at that point.
I don't think that's an efficient argument.
Well, you don't think what was it, Dark Nightmare has a AoE seal, doesn't she?
But how many players are actually going to be using their Dark Nightmare?
Very few, because very few players have a Dark Nightmare.
And here's the one of the ancient sets that they put in the game, and we're like, "Ooh, we should actually take those out."
Yeah. It's actually served this Astromon incredibly well. Because with her as lead, her lead skill is a defense up. And so now her defense is just shot way up as a result from that if you use her that way. Although I would wager I'm probably the only one in the game that has a gem set of this on her. So
I would say you may be. I think I end up getting rid of all of those sets. I don't know why, but it was so long ago, so.
it was probably to clear up gem inventory space because we had far less gem inventory space previously.
That is absolutely true. You're like, man, I just have to go ahead so I can super send this dude.
That is absolutely right.
I have to do this right now, today. This has to happen.
You know what? His super ascension skill has actually saved me on occasion because it's every 2 turns he'll SP drain somebody off, and when they're at 100% and you tag them with that, and you stop a Dark Kraken from ulting or a Dark Persephone from ulting, that makes a huge difference.
And you have a built-up light anew.
Yep. Yeah, he's not used very much. Actually, I do use him for Lights Colossus. I think that's the right one because he's got the defense break.
I could have sworn dudes argue with me over Light Colossus about him having like literally no defense. So they're like, "Why are you bringing a defense downer in there?" I'm like, "Bro, it's a game. He's still dying. Relax."
Yeah. I do like the Light Succubus. And actually we're almost at 11 o'clock. So 11 o'clock is when the challenge opens up, where you go to all the different continents and fight all the defense teams to get the reward at the end of the week. But I've got on that team the Light Succubus, the Light Shiva, my Light Arthur. I can't remember who the fourth one was. I think Light Cupid is the fourth one. And for the last 3 weeks, I haven't had to change that team out because it crushes all the way through. It doesn't get stopped by any of the teams along the route.
So you do the Apex battles?
Yes, every week. The rewards are worth it. The rewards are absolutely worth it. They have a lot of junk rewards, but they also have, hour-long XP boosts or hour-long rare increases. You can get Gleam eggs from there as well. I've gotten Gleam eggs from there. You can get I think you can get any of the eggs, including like a 5-star egg out of that, although I think that's extraordinarily rare. That's it. About you cannot get the 4 to 5 light dark eggs. Those I've never seen pop out, but you can get a lot of other stuff from there that is definitely worth it.
From memory, I have heard that it's a good source of gold as well.
It is a good source of gold. I don't need any of the fruits, but you end up getting a lot of fruits. You actually can get dimensional gems out of there too. So, every morning I do the free 3-dimensional runs, and then I pay the 100 Astro Gems to do another 3 runs. So the dimensional shards you can get from there. The Light Matchstick Girl, one of the most niche units in the game.
Which one? Her?
Yeah.
Oh, Tanya?
For Talia, because and I've got her built up, but she only does damage if you have debuffs running on something, and you need lots of debuffs running on something for her to do a lot of damage. So you really need to have her paired up with 2 different units that both throw 3 saps in order for her to really get damage. But that's a lot of buildup for her to get that damage.
And then at that point, it's like, why would I bring her and just not take in like another sapper?
Yes. Yes. Or almost any other unit. So
or wave
yeah.
clear, etc. I mean, honestly, they should change their skills and make this maybe they could do something else with this even. I'm not saying making it a super ascension skill, but at the same time that could be potentially useful for like sappers or something if they gotten like additional damage off of having X amount of saps or something on a mon once they hit it or something like that. Like there's potential with it. It's just wasted right now.
I could even see them switching this unit over to forced exchange. So you literally are going to dump all like the 3-star skill, you make forced exchange. So when you get saps on you, you can at least put them back on them, and then you hit them with your ult, so they take more damage.
That would be a lot better than her current state, which I think they forgot she existed at some point in time because she did come back, but I feel like in the grand scheme of things, like it's not as frequent as other Astromon.
Yeah, no, she's very, very niche. I mean, I like her animation, and I actually really like her dark version, which I use on occasion for teams because the way I have her built, she's incredibly hard to kill. So, and she's got the ult for the silence, which comes in useful on occasion.
Light Yeti, which I think she's fine for newer players especially.
She is a good unit. I used to use her a lot. She's outdated-ish at this point. She still is useful, but I don't use her.
Yeah, you're not playing with those Beths now. I will tell you that.
No, I told you the Beths for the Apophis dungeon, they're the ones that are going to rock the damage for you. I made a mistake of getting rid of my Dark Beth because I didn't realize I needed her. So I need to get another Dark Beth at some point when it rolls back around again.
Oh, the Light Leo.
Yeah, I don't use him very much. There used to be, I mean, he used to be part of the meta of I'm going to have full SP and stun you out. And that's basically how I built him. But he just doesn't have much use at this point because you're not using him for wave clear. You're not using him for any dungeons. He's really only a PvP mon.
Nah, bro, I can totally go in there and stun a Titan.
Well, I guess I've had Titans crash the game, so they sort of sit there doing nothing, which I guess counts as stunning them. I've been trying to make my hunters, and this is the elemental towers. I'm just not there yet. The only way to kill the light elemental tower is with somebody with penetrating. So the only penetrating I have is from light. I've got 3. I've got the hunter, I've got the Draka, and I've got the Arthur. The Arthur only happens every 3 ults, so not very effective. The light hunter, a bit better because he's got a shock, useless against the final boss, but useful for the wave clear to get there. The dark hunter has the stun, also useful for getting there, but I cannot. I've got for those floors for the elementals, I'm stuck at 69. Well, I'm at 70 is what I can't beat. Stuck at 70 for wood, stuck at 70 for water, and I'm at 99, so I'm stuck at 100 for fire, light, and dark. And I've not been able to beat through any of those yet. So I keep tweaking the teams, trying to punch through them at some point.
I will tell you, you are a lot further in the Elemental of Chaos than I will probably ever be.
You know, the rewards for clearing those floors, they've got some really good rewards. And you clear the floor 100, you get the variant gleam. So if you can get up to that point, that variant gleam can be very useful. It's just breaking that stupid 100 to do it. And if you have a light Balrona, then I'm going to say shame on you for not beating the the light dungeon yet and actually getting that floor completed so that you get the light queen.
I have a light Barona on my second account.
Then your second account should be running up the deck and getting that light queen.
Absolutely not. I don't know. It's just after going in doing dailies, it's partially my fault for having two accounts. But after doing that on both accounts, and then if I do something like this where I'm recording something and like making content on the game, there comes a certain point where I quickly I'm just like, I'm getting off.
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, there's a reason I've never made a second account, and this is, by the way, is the light tiger I was mentioning. And so for him, if you pair him with somebody else that's already put them to sleep, you don't have to have any crit. And as a matter of fact, you don't want any crit rate on him because that's stats that you can have somewhere else. Now he's not built perfectly, but at some point, if I ever do, really go all in on that, he'll have like well, if I ever was silly enough to do it, I would change his gems out so that they were triangle slots. He'd be all triangles. He'd be all crit damage, and he would just destroy stuff, or if he didn't destroy it, put it back to sleep.
Because with sleep guaranteeing the crit, is that saying that it also guarantees that Hunter's going to automatically crit?
Yes.
If his SP was up?
If his SP was up and they're sleeping, it's an auto crit. Any attack against the sleep mon is an auto crit, whether it's an alt or a 3-star or the 3-star skill.
You have a whole bunch of light sand wraiths, but why?
Because I thought at one point it would be a really good idea to get the courageous strikers, so I'd have more courageous strikers for when I was attacking the dark mons or the dark titan. And they actually can throw some good damage. The thing is, if you don't have a lot of courageous strikers for each of your elemental advantages, I think you're wasting your damage against them. So I was trying to get some more mons that had courageous strike, and the light sand wraith has courageous strike.
Okay, I just wanted to know. Just interested. Because, I mean, one of my issues, this isn't it's partially my fault, but having access to a whole bunch of Astramon, I feel like at times my viewpoint gets skewed because my normal isn't the normal of other people, if that makes any sense.
No, that makes sense.
Having you kind of explain these things to me helps me to kind of realize that obviously people have different mon boxes and think different ways in order to achieve hopefully the same goals.
Yeah. No, I mean they can do really good damage against Dark Titan.
It's just I just hate having the courageous strike on the 5-star skill.
Well, I mean, the 5-stars, and the thing is, you have to remember against the Titans, they're throwing 2 orbs out every turn that give you 100% SP. It's dependent on where it lands. So if it lands on them, they're going to throw good damage.
And if not, it's going to be rest in peace.
If not, they'll eventually get their SP bar filled. They'll die, one or the other.
And here's one of the Snow Whites.
Yeah, she's got a massive amount of hit points on her. And actually, I like the skill of her ults for weaken. So she's got shock and weaken. So every time she's attacking something, she's attempting to apply 1 to 2 debuffs. Yeah, she's got a huge number of
Are you
points.
telling me she has nearly max? It's not max, but nearly maxed. Actually, no. Yeah, it's nearly maxed with no resist gem on her.
No resist gem on her. She has no
Shut
diamonds.
the front door.
Yeah.
I am baffled right now.
Yeah, she's a good mon. with good substats on her to
Yeah,
get
eighty
to there.
percent 2-turn shock on a 3-star skill is almost illegal.
Well, that's my point as to what makes her really good and better than the light Valkyrie. I'd rather have 80% chance for 2 turns than 100% chance for 1 turn.
Most definitely. I had to make that argument. I'm not sure if they listened to me or if it's just everyone else too, but like Garuda, I was saying when they had the little Astromon survey thing, I was like, it literally makes no sense that like Yuki, Astromon literally anyone can get if they wait long enough, like the anniversary from the selection card, to have a better shock than an Astromon that you may never see, like Garuda. Like
Yeah.
that doesn't make any sense. I mean, they changed them, but
Yeah. No, I really like the Snow White. I'm pretty sure, like I said, I made a second one of her, so I'm pretty sure I got at least one more light, and I've got, I think, 2 darks. And I have all the red, green, blues over in storage.
I have not necessarily been sleeping on her, but I need to keep my eye open on that to hopefully help some other players out. Because I mean, that's a worthy sacrifice in my opinion.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, it's a really good unit.
HP attack resist,
She needed the resistance, even with the resistance gem.
but the attack gem is what I'm.
Yeah, again, it's gems that I had available. You see her trinkets are crap too for some of her trinkets, so she's another one that needs some TLC if she's going to be more useful. And since she has the exposed weakness, she is useful and the defense up. But it's just, you know, only so much attention and so much time either of us have.
I wanted this account to be pristine when I looked at it. I've given you at least like a 6-month head start on this.
I have good the Astromons that I really care about and like. They have, the appropriate and well thought out gem sets. Like the Light Shiva here, he actually has in my opinion, a good set for him.
You say that, but he also has attack.
He should have some attack. You want some attack on your units. He's got Yeah, and he's got like 110,000 hit points, and you put him in lead, and he gets another, what, 20-30% more on top of that. So he has like 104, I did the math at one point, he's got like 140,000 something hit points, and he's healing 10% of that up every time he attacks for his regular attack. And for him, I've never really used him for attack damage. I mean, he's a tank for a reason. You use him for healing, SP boosting your team. I've got stun set on him, so when he does get his ult off, he's going to do some damage, but the more important part is for that 20% to trigger and lock out at least one of their people for the next turn.
Which is why I was focusing on attack, because he's a tank.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
it's not that big of a deal.
I'm actually glad you're going through this because I forgot that Kikimoru actually had the exposed weakness, and I need to slot her into some stuff and update her trinkets.
Wow, they did her dirty. 80% shock for 1 turn. I mean, that's what Snow White has too, but were they using her somewhere? I feel like she had like a small resurgence. Maybe it was for the Apophis or something like that.
Probably for the
the
Apophis
exposed weakness.
Because the thing is, against the Apophis, you're not going to get your ult off very often because he's very stingy for the SP that he gives, and the exposed weakness is what you want. And actually, this is the Light Zephyr I told you I use for PvP. She actually is really useful.
I thought that was a dude.
Now, Light Zephyr thought it was a girl.
I'm pretty sure that's a dude. Zephyros? I never heard of a... Well, this is Monster Super League, where we do have... Like, isn't Zubaji, like, actually, like, a boar or something? Like a male boar, but it's a female?
Before you switch off, switch this back to the character view mode instead of the box mode up at the top. And then
Yeah, that's a dude.
I thought it was a girl, but
That
maybe
is a
it's a
dude.
guy. I guess. Well, then it's a dude.
I don't see.
It's a dude with hair. Yeah, so never mind. So it is a dude. I still use him. I still like him. It's now instead of like her, I like him. So congratulations. He's been downgraded to being a him.
I'm gonna have to keep that in this video for sure. But no, he looks fine. And recovery seal. He also has a shock. The two turns
Yeah, that recovery
70%
is
shock too.
incredibly
Like
useful.
that's great.
Yes, with the resistance down and that shock. So that team, him combined with the light Yuki, combined with the water gene, by the time these ults are going off, I've got two people with resistance down on them that I lock out because the ult is going to lock them out. And if you do the ult one at a time to make sure you get the lock that you wanted. And if you don't, I usually do the gene last because that's the 100% sleep for 2 turns. With the resist down, nobody resists the sleep for 2 turns at that point.
That is, yeah, he's incredible. Do you have a second light siren?
That is the second light siren. She's not as cool as the first one, but
I did use her back in the day. I mean, when that was all that we had. I remember running like I had 2 light Nikes, a light siren, and I think a light Hana because she could get that shield up, which was nice at the time. That was pretty much just a little meta of having aggressors and.
I've never pulled a light Hana, so I'm still short a light Hana.
Oh, you'll get there one day.
Yeah, at some point.
And you do have a light purse with a resist gem on her.
I do, because she's another unit that you don't want getting locked out. So she's right now got the resist gem. She got the full break for her super evolution, as did I think both of my Dark Krakens. So when I run them on a team, they're like, if you had buffs that you thought on your team, you don't have buffs by the time they're done with you.
Psh, who needs buffs? She also has that's for her super evolution, but she has the 20% chance for cleanse, I believe.
Yeah.
20% chance for purification.
So she can purify debuffs on her every 2 turns, but I've never, like I said, I still haven't gotten the stupid trinket set. So at some point I'll get there. If you go back 1 unit, he actually, no, it must be higher up. So this is my weaker version of him. Keep going. He's one of my higher attackers, so he's probably high up on the list. You might have, yep, there you go. He does an incredible amount of damage per star roll. So he's a 3-star Lightmon, and when he hits with that puncture, because he's a sole target, he hits really, really hard.
I want to say I used some on a big. No, maybe I think I'm remembering the fire one instead on my secondary account when I had first made it. I was rocking him for a bit. Like Flora, my mind is like, who is this again?
Yeah.
I normally only see like Dark Flora, so I'm like, who is this? There's a light rabbit.
Yep. Be useful at some point, but not quite there just yet. Although, you remember, he's got the defense attack up, so I might maybe, and the exposed weakness, so he's an Apophis Mon at this point. She actually is useful. I actually used her to clear some of the light floors on the way up to 99 because she has both the taunt and the saps, and the saps were very, very useful for being able to punch up through the floors there. The Chimera is one of the other units that I will sometimes swap out with the Wood Honaheim if I need a healer on that team. he still gives me the resist down and he gives me a heal. And then it's a 3 light units on that team at that point, which helps spread the attacks against their Dartmons to take the damages.
I'm a big fan of because his books is just his books are just insane. Like honestly, just insane.
Well, that's the second light cupid I have. The first one I think is booked up all the way.
And I don't know why they'd done that to him, but smart study, keep it up. We're getting closer to the light Cura.
Getting closer. You've entered the danger zone.
Make sure I'm not falling for any traps here. I mean, this is technically the wrong set because of the attack up, but the crit rate part of it is all that I'm looking at. Like Rudolph, she doesn't really get that much use, I would say.
I don't ever use her. I don't even have they even put no, I guess maybe they must have put skill books out for her by now. Yeah, they have, but it's not it's yeah, it's not even 2 turns on the stun, so basically useless for her.
And I mean, it's cool that she has SP Siphon and these abilities, but it's one of those things too where I don't feel like she can kind of be reliable in terms of surviving in order to make sure you can kind of fully use her without sacrificing other slots to have like a more mono type, which at that case it's like, why would you bring her when you can just bring in someone better?
Obviously don't use him very much.
Dude, I use him every single day.
Oh, as a doorstop.
I have one. I don't know where he's at, but he's somewhere.
I will say the Cosmo, I have seen PvP defense teams during the 3-star weeks that are all like Cosmos. And surprisingly, whoever built that actually surprisingly built them very tanky, very well, and they're always healing themselves up to full. So it is amusing when I see that team.
Like Kokomaru. You have at least 5,000 like Mihos?
I have a lot of Mihos. they are scattered all through everywhere is what they're scattered through.
That's hilarious that Light Pinello has a 70% 2-turn shock.
Yeah, he actually these are from the first festival for bait. By the way, I don't know if you've noticed it or not, but they changed the stats on the new baby sharks versus the original baby sharks. There actually is a difference in their level 1 stats. And I'm trying to remember if I kept those. I might have finally just gotten rid of all of them, but their base level stats, they increased their stats for their base. And I had some that were some of the old stats that didn't get updated when they did it, which is just weird, which means that these are probably lower stat baby sharks than the newer ones, because the newer ones had better stats to start with.
I'll have to check that because my bot still has like the older one up there too in terms of his stats. The Discord bot where you can just look up any of the Ashermon if you type in their name. You have a fully built up is that Light Wolf?
It is Light Wolf. He actually is useful. He's useful against the Apophis boss that puts the attack up on himself. Because you cannot, if you leave that attack up on him, he just destroys you. It's also useful against any PvP where they're doing self buffs other than shield. Because it's 100% chance to get rid of it.
That is weird. 95%.
Well, he's a single target, so he's only going to hit one thing.
They couldn't just make that 100%.
Yeah. Nope, because he's a 3-star monster. Yep. In all her glory.
Triple defense
See,
on an
not a
HP
resistance
set.
type.
2-turn shock and dominance.
So that dominance in combination with like light Yuki means the other team should never get their alts because you're always gonna lower them below their threshold to be able to land it because you're gonna do more than enough damage to get them under 100% for their SP bar.
All right, I'm gonna speed things up here because we're coming at, well, it's 2 hours, and unless you want to edit this, this is gonna be.
Yeah. Nope. I understand. I mean, I can tell you the mons to look at if you want for the ones that would be interesting for here on out. So the Light Jean is pretty typical. She's hit point based. She's got a stun set running on her. Yes, she's resistance because if you don't have high resistance, you're useless in my mind. But that's me. The Light Arthur, you'll definitely want to look at.
He is on that Zeal set. Okay. Crit rate, crit damage. I knew it.
And a resist jump.
I knew it.
If you're batting as a Lightmon with a 0% pace and you're batting, I think he's 85%, you better, if you're more likely than not to have a resist gem on there, you're going to pull that off.
Who needs resist, man? Just don't get hit.
Yeah, exactly. Because that always works out well.
He has what? Okay, the attack. Oh yeah, you mentioned that too. It was him and who else had the attack base?
The light Valky. Him and the light Valky both have the shield. The light Hohenheim is interesting. She, just because of her skill set, she's got the SP drain as well as the attack up. So I have paired her off sometimes with the light Arthur.
I've never used mine, to be honest.
When you put attack up on units that have really high attack and crit rates, they're going to do a lot of damage. And she can help ensure that the other team doesn't get their ult off. Or at least the ult off that you don't want them to get off.
Do you use her in like a completely light composition?
Yeah, if I use her, she'll be a completely light composition.
You do have your light Draka. I'm clicking on this one.
Yeah,
Super
yeah,
ascended.
absolutely.
I mean, it's guaranteed. It's a guaranteed click. Oh, you got me with this one. I mean, there's no diamond slot, but my brain was like, there has to be a resist gem on this one. There has to be, but there's not.
Nope, no diamond slot. And the ult's ability is immunity, so she can resist just about anything if she has that running. So
that does buff out for sure.
Yeah. The light Griffin is interesting, I guess. He's also got the full debuff. I actually will pair the light Griffin off with the light Yukis because if you got the AoE resist down, you might as well hit them with stuff that they're then going to fail at.
Is there anyone else particular from the light ones other than?
Yeah, the light Primo. I'm getting her much closer. So she actually both gives immunity and takes immunity away from people. She'll get to the Evo 3 before too much longer, but I really do like that mon. So she's doing quite well. It's actually funny. My unfinished light Siegfried did more damage to a Titan the other day than my finished light Siegfried did. So I think the random numbers were just whacked for that fight. But I don't know. But he did. So it was amusing to see that.
Crit damage, attack, and then crit rate. Okay.
Darks, I've got the Dark Mona, of course, the 2 Dark Krakens. The Mihos I'm not using as much as I had previously. The Dartmount is fun to use. What I found with her though is because her resistance is only 18%, she tends to get locked
She
out.
does have devastating
So
strike though.
she does. That actually is the skill that you want on her. So when she does crit for a whole bunch of damage. I should try getting her crit rate up a little higher than where it is, but not quite there. And also maybe some more crit damage. But she is a wave clearer. She's not someone I use for PvP generally.
Makes sense. Also, I want to click on this Dark Yuki. Very good mon. Dark Yuki is.
Yeah, no, she's really good. If you want to take a peek at the Krakens, you can. They're both very similar, obviously, because they're defenders for damage. One of them, I think, has a much higher resist. I think it's this one. It's like the 50% resist, much higher resist than the other one.
You are correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Mihos are actually, the two Dark Mihos are the same way. One of them has the smaller Super Evo Miho has the higher resistance and the lower hit points. The other Miho is pushing like, I think 170,000 hit points though. So I do have a lot of hit points on the other Miho. She just doesn't have as much resistance.
I think I ended up doing something similar to that too, where at some point in time I was running two of them, so I wanted to trick whoever that was fighting me. And be like, wow, which one's over there hitting like a freaking butt cheek on a stick?
Which one has resistance and is not failing?
There's also this Dark Jean, or John, shall I say.
Yes, but this one is for sure female, so no light Zephyros confusion here.
Was that crit rate defense HP? How is she faring, by the way?
I don't use her very often. I have seen her used well for the silence ability, so she can trigger that pretty, every couple turns effectively. I just don't use mine very much. The shield gems on her, I probably need to swap them out. They're just not as useful as I thought they were going to be. I do like the Dark Cupid. He is definitely a good unit.
They couldn't make her as powerful because of her lead, that's why. Which is still fine. I mean, she's still a great unit, but...
I do like, you went past the Dark Saren, but I do like the Dark Saren also.
You and this dominance thing, man.
Hey, the dominance has won me fights. Because if you stop them from getting their SP for their ults, you're going to, chances are pretty good you're going to win.
But here's the thing. You and me, we're not the same, man.
No, we're not.
No, we're
I
not.
hit auto, I come back after 15 minutes of cooking, and I'm just like, oh, looks like I lost, looks like I won. Well, time to hit OK and leave. So if you ever see me in like your PvP defense and I've either lost or won, keep in mind that I have no conscious idea of whether I beat you or you beat me.
No, I know. I've a lot of times, and I mean, you see that my league points are up. I usually don't do a bunch of league until like the end of the week, because that's when I'm then do the randoms for the 15 points just to get some Astro Gems out of it. Definitely look at the Dark Rabbit before you skip past the Dark Rabbit.
I'm just gonna bypass him. There's the other Dark Miho, the bigger one.
Bigger hit point one, yeah. So he does hit really
This
hard.
is what you're packing in with 12% resist?
Yes. Well, there are no diamonds on him, so he's all attack. he the funny thing for him is, though, I actually want debuffs to land on him. I want them to put saps on him. I want them to put attacks downs on him. I want them to put weakens on him, because when he attacks them, those get transferred before his damage gets calculated. Any debuffs they put on him get transferred, and then the damage gets calculated.
So the stun get transferred too?
No, you cannot clear out the stuns. Stuns and shocks are what I don't want, but any of the other like debuff type things that don't prevent you from doing something, you still transfer it off. So actually, if he gets taunted, he'll hit the person who taunted him, transfer the taunt onto them, and still do his bonus damage against them. And if they had their, like, I'm talking to the fire Nikes or the water whoever, water cat girls thingies, anybody that's running any sort of defense boosts for a 50% damage reduction, now he has the 50% damage reduction. So not only was he taunted, he attacked them, he took their debuff, or he took their buff away, and now he's sitting with their buff, and they're now taunted to attack him in return. So he does really, really well against people that generally are very tanky and based on buffs they put on themselves.
This man just broke down the whole science behind why you should be using Dark Rabbit over here.
No, he is a lot of fun. He is a lot of fun to use exactly for that reason, because basically, and he'll steal your shield too. If you've got shields, he'll take your shield away. He doesn't damage it. He just takes it. So he is a lot of fun to have go through and fight stuff.
Gem of Healer on your Dark Shaojin.
Yeah, that's what I had available at the time for him. So that's what he's got. He definitely needs improving because his crit rate needs to be higher. His crit damage needs to be higher. And, well, he's not there. So maybe I'll work on updating him today with some dragon gems if I can scrounge him off somebody
I do
else.
see 2 Dark Snow Whites.
Yep. I've got 2 of them. I built the second one because of her lead ability, the crit break. This way I can put her at some of the leads on some of the teams for Titan. Is it Titan? Yeah, for Titan to lower the crit chance. Or Apophis for the one that gives the crit boost. I'll put her in front sometimes on that as well.
Also, Dr. Zephyros, how has he been performing?
He really takes time to scale up. So unless you're fighting somebody for 8 turns, in which case you probably have, well, I actually prefer Dark Sandwraith to Dark Zephyrus. Dark Sandwraith, like I've got towards the top a really strong Dark Sandwraith. That Dark Sandwraith will wreck people's teams. He seals their SP, and then by like turn 3 or 4, if I'm getting my ults off, you're going to be dying.
I've heard very great things about him.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun.
Is there anyone else in particular you want me to take a look at?
You could look at the Dark Hunter if you want. Like I said, I've been trying to, and he was my most recent Super Ascend. He's at the moment probably going to be key at some point to beating that floor 100 of Dark, because I just don't have another penetrating striker that's Dark at the moment. Oh, and you dissed Dark Cura, so you'll probably want to look at Dark Cura too. But the Dark Hunter you're on. I probably need to switch him to a different gem set, but he does good damage. It's not enough damage against the dark person. The top floor of that level is Persephone, so you got to fight through 2 waves of 4 Persephones, and then you got to fight the last one, which is the super duper Persephone and her 2 buddies. So I probably need to get him on a crit siphon set so he can keep getting his punctures off in order to kill her, in order to help kill her. But he's not there just yet.
Wait, there is one of the Sandwraiths. You have 2 of them, I'm assuming?
Yeah, but I've got like 3. Go higher up because you passed the best one. That would be the best one right there, I think.
That's a good roll into that gem. 32% resist.
Yes, it absolutely is. And then the 26% crit damage on that one with a hit point boost. So he because his is over 8 turns, right? So over 8 turns, if it's, and I'm not sure the math, but if it's a 10% increase a turn, if he did go the full 8 turns, you're at an extra 80% on top of that attack of 8,000. So you're pushing like 12,000 attack at that point.
And he's a Dark Mind too, so if he gets that crit in there, well,
that's he can crush damage with the best of them at that point.
It's also a Dark Nike.
I do use the Dark Nike on the clan versus clan. The shield does help. The stuns are great. The defense, I mean, the defense break is pretty good.
And then your favorite Ashmon in the game.
Well, no.
Well, no, but
but she is a fun
Astromon to have on a team.
I just wish they would update her. Yeah, she has the weird morale boost buff.
The amount of damage they deal. So you want to pair her with somebody that deals lots of damage so that they keep their morale boost running. So for example, if she were paired with a Courageous Striker, and that Courageous Striker had the Courageous Strike in their 5-star ult slot, they should always keep their ult slot maxed out against higher tier Titans, because they should always be doing enough damage to fill the SP bar all the way back up again.
But even with her lead, is it worth wasting a slot to give her this when you could pair your Courageous Striker up with a healer that could...
Well, this is a healer.
No, like a healer that could boost their attack?
With a healer that can use attack up, like the Water Cura?
Right. Who also has exposed weakness.
That's a good question, and I think the answer is probably going to be yes, because if you could guarantee that every turn your 5-star attacker with Courageous Strike was going to land their Courageous Strike because it was always active, versus every 2 or 3 turns they get their attack off and land the Courageous Strike, what do you think is going to give them more damage? I think 3 landings of Courageous Strike would give them more damage than 1 landing of Courageous Strike. Or potentially no landings of Courageous Strike if they got unlucky and didn't get the SP because the healer kept getting it. They were doing great damage on their 3-star attack, but they weren't ever landing it, the Courageous Strike in the 5-star slot. So I think it would matter which slot or slots your Courageous Strike was in. A Wood Merlin would always be better having the Water Cura than having the Dark Cura, because the Wood Merlin has Courageous Attack on both slots. But anybody else, I think, would be better off being able to guarantee that they were always using their Courageous Strike as opposed to not using it. I have no math to back me up on that. But that's my opinion based on just playing as to how I think that would play out.
This man's over here dropping some hot takes. I'm posting all of this on the subreddit.
Well, that's fine.
We're gonna get you shut down, man.
Oh, well, that's entirely possible.
Oh, look, there's your Dark Tanya too.
Yeah, that's the Dark. That's actually the one. She's incredibly tanky.
You have an enhanced freaking Dark Cosmo?
Yes, because he's a shield breaker. And before Fire Primos against Apophis, you had to have shield breakers in order to get rid of that damn shield, or you couldn't do any damage. So yes, I have a Dark Polaris because he broke shields with the Fire Kikis. And I have a number of Fire Kikis, but the Fire Primos are better because they break shields and the whatever the other skill was, the defense up, I think they get too.
Say no more. I just have to have you explain some things to people. And there's Dark Tanya.
Yeah, she's actually, like I said, she's very durable because the high defense on the Darkmon with massive hit points, and she's getting 10% of her hit points back a turn. I've had teams that just have tried whacking with only her left, and it either she wins or it takes them a really long time. So she's a fun unit.
Also, Dark Pixie. And then there's. Do you have any? Never mind. We already went through 2 of those. So you have 4 Dark Sea Stars total.
I think so. I don't think there's a 5th one floating around somewhere. They're obviously not ready for anything real at the moment for the other 2. I do have the Dark Glenda. She actually is quite. She is very useful in that she's a courageous striker and that defense, the 50% damage reduction. So I actually do like having her on the team, and she throws good damage. The guy to her left throws really high damage in PvP also. He's like yeah. The Light Floor 100 is all him as Lightmon, and he is a pain in the ass because he heals. There's 4 of them each wave. They heal 10% of their hit points for each of them casting their abilities. So they're healing 40% of their health and 40% of their SP. So every other turn they're using their ults, which are shocks. And if you fail your roll, your run is done. Dark Sonic's a lot of fun. Or Dark Shadow. Dark Shadow is a lot of fun. He does squish easy though.
Hey, you have to have that recovery max.
I got a max out, that max out recovery on the end. I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to re-roll it. I'm just going to because it's a maxed out skill. So whatever.
Freaking Dark Merlin here, Pugilist set. Wait, triple attack?
Maybe
triple attack. Dark Merlin.
That's what he's got. You notice some of them are 5-star gems, so he definitely needs a little bit of
Do you
tweaking.
use him?
I do use him sometimes, and usually he sticks around a while too. So he will land decent damage.
This is a situation that I did not anticipate. Every time, this has been a wild and wacky ride.
I told you you'd like all the gems in my guys.
Yeah, I would love to get mine booked up one day, but I'm not gonna hold my breath on that.
Yeah, if I get a book, I'll use it. But if I don't, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not a whale throwing massive chunks of money.
There's also Dark Odin.
Yeah, she actually is fun to use. I do, and yes, she does have a resist gem. But she is fun to use. She, getting that defense break off can make a difference in some of the fights.
You have, was it 2 Light Valks? Or is it just 1?
No, just 1 Light Valkyrie.
Did you have a copy of
2 Light Lucy's?
Did you have a copy of any of the Net 5s?
I do have a light. I've got the water Cesars, whoever's. I've got those. I've got the wood acers. I've got the water acers. The water Cesaris, I think I might have 2 of them now at Evo 3, just because the immunities are key. But I don't have any copies of the natural 5s for light or dark.
My brain was in confusion for a moment.
Yeah, 2. Actually, I take it back. I do have 2 of the light Siegfrieds, but he's not there. The second one's not Evo 3 yet.
But okay, never mind. You do have a light Odin though, because I was like, I could have sworn I saw a different Odin which wasn't RGB, and yeah, she's right here.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do have the light Odin.
I know I'm tripping, but not tripping that much.
I do have that dark Acer, that's Evo 3.
Which I do have one on my secondary account, and I mean, I like her.
I like the design. I mean, I don't use her a whole bunch, but I do like the unit.
It's also dark. Siegfried. There's a little baby griffin over here hanging out.
Yeah, I've got the other Griffins to eventually get that one to Eva 3, but he's just not he's not ready for prime time.
Let me go over here to storage real quick. That is a god awful amount of bolt wings. Oh, you're one of these Nat 4 hoarders?
Well, I use them to melt them off into the during the festivals to get the 600 astrogems. So I build up a stock and then I melt them because that's a guaranteed way to get 600 astrogems out of it.
Imagine actually having storage to dedicate to these guys. I don't know that life. Fire Artemis. I could know that life, but my issue is that if I give myself more space, then it's more mons I have to one day go through, and then I have to force myself to just work with what I have as much as possible.
You know, I've never gotten a light or dark of the genies, the actual thing, the gins. And I keep trying, but still haven't gotten there. At some point when I do, I'll immediately make it an Evo 3 variant, but have to get it first. You're not going to see any 5 stars in this tab. My third tab is where I store all the 5
Now,
stars.
do you have enough light monas?
I've never gotten
rid of them, so and I ran them all up to 60 for the 100 astrogems each. Oh, you might. I did keep the baby sharks. You could look right here at the stats.
They're level 7 though. Is that the base level?
I think scroll down a little bit, see if there's some ones. Yeah, so if just hold on it and you should be able to see its stats without moving it over. So 34, 22 hit point, 218, 224. And then select one of the other ones. I guess the only other one. That's the same one. So maybe it was the 7s that were different. 297, 305, and then pick one of the top ones out of that group. Okay, I'll have to hunt through and see if I can. You don't need to waste the time looking through it here. 297.
Just for science.
I could swear I saw them, so I'll hunt down the 2 that are.
Do you have another Dark Acer in here? Thought there was no Nat 5s in here. Trying to pull a fast one.
No Nat 5s I haven't worked on, so I guess she's snuck in there and is hiding there so that I don't accidentally do something to her.
Oh, you do have a Fire Zeus? I don't even have a Fire Zeus yet. You're better than me.
Yeah, I am a month and a half out from getting my Dark Zeus, which means that I'm a month and a half out from immediately making my Evo 3 Light Zeus.
Yeah, you got 2 Wukongs, which is always great. Whole bunch of Tanyas in here.
Yeah.
Plenty of Bass. I mean, Odin would be crying right now seeing this.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. He's still, I think he's trying to get the wood or the water bass.
It's a Garuda. For whatever reason, Water Gilga has been coming up here in terms of the quote-unquote Titan meta of being useful, so that's nice that he's finally getting some love. There's another bass. You have 5 bass total?
That would be 5 total, yeah.
You might have more than me. I think I only have 4.
For the water. I'm sure I've got more in the other elements. Or at least,
yeah, for the water specifically.
Yeah.
There's a Wood Garuda. Another wood on my OG.
Just sitting.
There's another Wood Garuda. You do have a light Imperato. That's nice. And then a whole bunch of dark Lucy's. And yeah, I mean, we went through the Mon box. I mean, it took a while, but let me go over here and we'll see your Titan squad. So this is for hitting dark?
So that, because I'm lazy at the moment, that's for hitting dark and light. My fire, water, and woods are set up. I need to reset a dark one for hitting lights, but I've not done that recently. I'll still hit dark, but it's not set up really for doing it.
This is your team for hitting wood titan? Dracus.
Yeah, they do good damage.
For titans.
I'll stand by that
By
statement.
good damage.
They do good damage.
What are we talking about here?
Third or fourth highest damage on the team overall, and the SP boost ensures that the healers actually get the heals off in case the orbs don't go their way.
Out of what damage though? Is it like 9 million? 12?
No, I'm generally doing 20 to 30 million damage, I think. The water teams, I've pulled off this week like 40 something million damage, 45 million damage on the water team, I think, this week.
You are the man with the most hot takes. This might be the most controversial account review I've ever done in my life.
If you want, go back to the fire one and run a test run on it.
In terms of time's sake, I don't think I will.
That's fine.
You're just a hot take man of the century. I will give you that. I like this lineup. This one's great.
Yeah, it's doing good damage.
Oh man. Or if you do get a chance to run it, actually just send me a screenshot of it, if possible. And then, I mean, we're already here, so I'm just look at this real quick too. Okay, you have a mono light composition. That's okay. Okay. What does Light Midsummer Miho do again?
Immunity.
She has immunity in what?
Her ults. 5-star.
What's her 3-star skill?
SP boost, 10% hit points in recovery, or hit points and SP.
Because I just saw her in my mind automatically trigger to the regular Light Miho.
Yeah, no, she's hit points, SP, 10%, and immunity for her ults. So this team, I'm getting 25% SP on the first round.
Arthur's doing mainly the most damage here, I'm assuming, because...
Arthur does the most damage. The light succubus is on a stun set, so she will stun stuff, and she does get her ult off fairly commonly. Especially once the light cupid trigger his ults and everyone's getting SP boosts. So generally, by turn 2 or 3 latest, I've popped immunity up on my team.
You're in what's the highest that you've gotten in PvP?
1,500 points if I actually work at it. So I think that's the highest tier.
You have a fire siren.
This is my take on the team that the person was running that I mentioned earlier, where they were using a fire and siren as the lead, and it does surprisingly well. Judging by the victories that you see there against people that actually fought me intentionally, I would say that it probably is doing fairly well against a team 63 level of victory, 48, well, 48 I'm not really going to count as a victory, but it was still a victory. A 68 I beat as a victory for defending. So even on a week that the 3 stars aren't getting a bonus, this team is doing very well for defense.
At least according to the current rank.
Well, keep in mind, none of these say random. So these are people that chose to fight my team based on what they saw. And then I was batting 60 or 70% against them. 2 losses there, 4 losses. So I was batting 60% against them. So not a fully optimized team, but I was winning more than I was losing. So that that nets out a positive for me.
I will say you're a very interesting guy. Very peculiar, shall I say.
Yeah, that works.
I think that's about it. I mean, I don't really do dragons. I could take a look at your dragons team real quick. Not saying I don't do dragons, but I just run like B10 and that's it.
Yeah, I'm running. If you can click on it, go to the square gems. I think
Are
is
you
what I'm
in
running in
B11?
there at the moment. No, B11. It is no. Is it this one? Nope, not that one. Because go down one more. So I'm running B10s.
Which is fair. I mean, that's fine.
Because B10s, this team cannot lose to the fight. And so it just cruises through and gets me the points to summon gyms and gems. So I can run any of the others except for the final one fairly reliably. But like we talked about earlier, that final one's just not really worth it anyway when you can run the other ones faster.
Absolutely not. And not for me to come over there and see that I've lost quite a bit.
Yeah, because then you lost how many other runs and how much time has gone by. So.
And this is probably more for the square team.
Yeah, the square team runs here and it just cruises right through.
What is it, like a minute and 10 seconds?
I'm pretty sure I'm under a minute for these runs. I think they're 50-second runs.
Is there any? Is this just for gold? Why you're running this one specifically?
It's for effectively gold. Sometimes I need the square gems, so I actually run to get the crit rate gems because I think I'm actually out of loose crit rate gems again right now. Hey, papaya.
And what do you normally run for like B11?
The B11, I don't remember what his skill was for B11. What was his alt? Was it shock? Probably.
Does it say? No, that's just strategy then.
Yeah. Yeah, it's shock. So this team would run just fine on B11. So this team should be able to crush right through. Well, actually, it might be able to cut through it, and if it didn't, I would just switch out the Sonic and put in the light Miho for the immunity.
Probably. I mean, you have one wave clear, but I'm not sure how well that would fare.
There are two wave clears on here. The Valky and the Water Primo Miho. They're both wave clears, and the Primo Miho is on a Siphon set.
But I mean, in terms of the Golem, usually that's where Sap comes in for him. Just because he just has so much HP at this point.
Oh. Well, then I might switch it out for Sap. I've got plenty of
V10
sappers.
could definitely get away with nuking.
Yeah, I mean the only thing that's the issue on him, this one here, is he's got the shock. So if the shock lands, you're going to lose if you don't have mons that are able to resist it, but the immunity blocks all of that.
But I think I've gotten everything that I've needed. Probably actually won't even like break this down to do a review. I'll just simply probably cut it up and just show what we talked about here, because this is already going to be a very daunting task in general.
No, that's fine.
But I mean, it's very interesting going through your account and hearing actual explanations versus me having someone's account and trying to piece together
trying to understand what the heck they did.
What they're doing. It's like you trying to explain your homework to me, but you're not here to explain it. So very interesting account. You had quite a lot of hot takes up there too.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Which
absolutely.
is very entertaining. I mean, my only professional but unlicensed advice would be, hopefully one day you can get better subs so you don't have to rely on the resist gems as much.
Yeah, I mean that's the perfect world. You know, we're all aiming to get there. It's just a question of getting the gems and team.
Yeah, but when that will happen, no one knows. But yeah, I will say thank you so much for your time and allowing me to go through this with you.
Yep, sure thing.
Yep, sure thing. All right, take
You too,
care.
man. Thank you.